All right, well then I will open up this meeting. I just wanted to say good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us remotely. Technology is pretty incredible that we are having a garden club meeting in our own unique way, and we're still navigating this technology a bit. So if you're watching this on Touchtown, know that this is new to us and we are doing the best that we can. So today's Tuesday, March 12th, and why don't we go through and so I'm Kelly Oldfield. I'm the Director of Life Enrichment, and I'm in my office with the door shut. So why don't we go through and say who you are and where you are coming to us from?
This is Mike and Jan. We're coming from our villa here in Holy Cross Village.
I'm Ellen, I'm coming from home.
I'm Marilyn. I'm home in my easy chair in my bedroom.
Barb.
This is Barb Cassidy. I'm here with Taylor Casey, and we are filming in our own Holy Cross Village garden.
Very good.
What about Patrick?
Patrick was not able to join us after all. He had planned to and then is not able to. But to give folks a little bit of history, this year, 2020, is our 10th growing season, which is pretty incredible. I was not involved in the initial years, but I know Ellen, Barb, and Sister Marilyn, you folks were. So we started 10 years ago, and then we added beehives in 2014. And we had a couple beehives, and then we added a couple more in 2017. So certainly throughout the years, we have grown. And Barb, I know you were pretty instrumental in getting those beehives. It seems like a lot of communities have unity gardens, but they may not have beehives. So why beehives? What were you thinking?
When we started with the hives, even before that, like 10 years ago, if not longer, there's been a lot of information out about the bees, about colony collapse disorder. And this is where bees were just mysteriously, whole hives would die off. And there's different theories about why this has happened, whether it's pesticides or climate. And basically, we wanted to be part of the solution in making sure we still have bees. So we thought by getting beehives on our campus within our Unity Garden, that would give us an opportunity to try to help with the problem of the shortage of bees. Real quick about bees, they pollinate about 1/3 of what you eat on your plate when you sit down to have dinner. So without bees to pollinate those things like nuts and apples and different fruits and vegetables, you wouldn't have those. So it's very important that we make sure the honeybee population is thriving. So we want to be part of the solution.
Very good, thank you, Barb. And I just want to, I think we know, obviously we're in a unique time and place compared to where we were last year. Last year by now, we would have already had 2 garden club meetings. We would have already met together as a group and had 2 garden cleanups. So this is a much different year for sure. Despite everything that's going on with COVID-19, we still have an active garden, and that's thanks to some of you that are on this call today. So Barb, can you tell us a little bit about where we stand now?
Sure. And I would have to say thanks to Jan and Mike Imgren for this. And also Ellen Detmer, she's instrumental in helping us get going. But Mike reached out and said that he and his wife, they could be out here working, they wouldn't be with anyone, it would still be within the social distancing guidelines that we have on campus. And they were happy to start the garden. They said, we can start putting seeds in, we just need the seeds. So Ellen Detmer went and bought the seeds, got them dropped off, and they've been planting successive weeks. So they started in early April, and maybe Taylor, if you would just show maybe a span of how big the garden is. We've got 16 beds, and mostly what's planted, and again, they've done seeds right now. Those are in about 5 or 6 beds right now. So I'm standing in front of a bed that's got Swiss chard. And then next to me, they've started mixed lettuces and kale. And behind me, we'll have some green onion sets planted, and also kale again. And then back behind me, you can see it's already starting to sprout. We have, I believe, beets, radishes, and carrots. And again, all this was started by seed, but you can see they're starting to come up. And then next to that, we have some spinach, but this wintered over from last fall. This was late fall planting, and it survived over the winter, so they've actually been harvesting a little bit of spinach. And then we have another bed that future will have cucumbers. And then next to that, Taylor, if you want to show that, this is our herb bed, and this stays in the same place. So we have some things that have come up again that are perennial. So we have some chives, we've got some rosemary, we have some sage and some other herbs, but we do have some new plants that'll be going in. And then right next to this is our plantings of strawberries. You can see the straw around them that was put in over the winter to protect them. And these are starting to come up again. This, I believe, is our 3rd year, and it usually takes a few years for them to get established. And then, Taylor, if you would look back here, again, we've got 8 more beds. Those are mostly for the plants that will go in. We'll have plants go in sometime after Memorial Day weekend, and those will be our tomatoes, our zucchini, our yellow squash. We'll have some pole beans. We'll have sweet banana peppers, jalapeno peppers. And with the tomatoes, we've got Mike and Jan suggested a couple heirloom types of tomatoes, so we'll try that this year. And then we also have, I believe, cherry tomato and a celebrity tomato, which is more like a salad tomato. So we've got some different varieties, and we'll see what works this year for the garden. So that's kind of where we're at. Mike and Jan have really been the ones turning the soil over, weeding it, and then getting seeds in the ground. And they've also been charged with watering, and they're doing a great job. So we have purchased the plants that'll go in, like I said, at the end of this month. Mike and Jan have those in their garage. They're bringing them out when it's nice and sunny. They're keeping them watered, and they're getting them hardened off and prepared for when they do go on the ground, they'll make it. So that'll be the end of this month. So that's kind of where we're at.
You forgot the kohlrabi.
Oh, and kohlrabi. That's the prize and heart what Ingrams love. And we love that they brought that to our campus. We never had it before, so they already have that planted. Thanks, Mike.
Mike and Jan, do you want to take a couple minutes and talk about your perspective on how the garden's doing and what it looks like for you folks?
Well, all I can say is this is a new experience for both of us. We're from North Carolina, and by now they're already picking their strawberries. And I'm looking and saying, gee, I wonder when I plant this stuff. So I got the catalogs, I went on the internet, and I started planting early, and everyone looked at me, are you a little nuts? Well, things are growing. Not exactly how I wanted it, but I'm more than pleased. I mean, we're soon going to have radishes. We're going to have some lettuce soon. The kohlrabi's coming along nice. If you look around, there's green beans growing down there already. It's one of these things that I'm learning, and I've got a question that I think needs to be answered, and that is, last year when I picked the garden, I was able to take it in and put it over on the concierge's desk. Am I going to be able to do that this year? What are we going to do with all this food? I mean, the radishes are soon going to be here. Where do we put it?
That's a great question, Mike. I don't think we have an answer at this time. I know that in a meeting yesterday, we started talking about different aspects that we will hopefully be able to start rolling back. I will ask that question to see what do we do about the produce that comes on early spring.
That would
When are
be
you
the
gonna send
radishes.
them? When are you gonna send them down to St. Augustine's?
And
Yep.
Kelly, I know in the agenda, we have a whole component about St. Augustine Soup Kitchen, so I'm
Okay,
not,
so that's later.
yeah,
all right.
I'll address that, but we will be sending it this
Well-
year.
Well, maybe the people from the village can come down and pick.
Yeah, I'll definitely want to check with administration on that because certainly we don't want to be
Oh.
encouraging folks from the different areas to be down there at the same time yet.
Yeah.
So
I
give us a little bit of time to find that answer out. Ellen, it's a great suggestion.
I-
It's a good question to ask, and we'll navigate through that.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, Mike and Jan?
Well, I would like to, I don't know if this would be agreeable or not, but I would like to invite the people here in Holy Cross Village when they go out for a walk, and if there's nobody in that garden, to
Right.
open the gate, walk in and look around and get acquainted with it. Because I have found being here, not very many people know we have a garden down there. And it's a surprise to them, especially last year. I mean, I'd bring the stuff back and they'd say, where'd that come from? So if they do go down, the only thing I asked is close the gate.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'd like, I would want to offer.
We can probably put in some little thing when we're putting in about walking in the grounds, that they're welcome to the garden if no
Right.
other people are there, something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe Kelly, you could watch for that?
In that newsletter.
Yeah.
Yep. We can put it in the newsletter, and this broadcast will be out on the television as well. So hopefully this is
Oh,
just
that's
one
right.
more avenue to remind
great
folks
idea.
about what we're doing here on campus.
Okay.
All right, our next agenda, Barb, can you talk about the soup kitchen component?
Yes. So our contact over at St. Augustine Soup Kitchen is Nora Geisler, and I spoke with her this morning, and I told her it's probably going to be a couple weeks, if not into June, until we have enough that's worthwhile to deliver down to them. And we typically harvest on Wednesday mornings, and we take that to them. As long as we get it to them by 9 o'clock, they'll have it ready for their clients who show up at 11. So she said she'd still love for us to keep harvesting throughout this whole pandemic. Their food kitchen has remained open. So she said they love the fresh vegetables and herbs. So if we can get them to them, that's great. So we're still a few weeks away. I know Mike mentioned we may have radishes coming on soon. There's probably not going to be enough for us to fill a basket to be worthwhile to deliver. But once we start having enough lettuces and some of the other cold weather stuff that's already gone in through seed, and then we'll give them a ring and we'll get that delivered to them. So I'm thinking we're probably 3 weeks out at least. And Mike, you may have a different feeling on that.
well, I don't know, it's going to come pretty soon. And I'm trying to spread out the radishes so they don't all come at once. But once that one row, those 2 rows come in, there's going to be a lot there. And if I can get them over here in the village and let people take them, I think they will.
Right.
So all I would say is if people kind of know that Wednesdays is when we harvest, so maybe they don't come on a Tuesday and pick us clean. But if we have enough, you know, we always want to have enough to send a couple bushel baskets to the soup kitchen. That's our community component. To be part of Unity Gardens in our community, we all have to have a community component. Our component is once a week we harvest and send that to the soup kitchen. So we want to make sure that we can hold up that end of our relationship. So like I said, it's probably a good 3 weeks away, if not further, because we've had a really cool spring. But we're all set up to get going with them once we have enough.
Okay.
Very good. Barb, can you talk at all about the status of this season's bees?
Absolutely. I'm gonna have Taylor walk down with me toward the beehive so you can see those. So as Kelly mentioned, we started out with a couple hives and then we added more to it. We're always in a constant flux as to how many hives we have. And just in conversation with our beekeeper, Tim Ives, of the 3 hives that we have right now, he said that one of them made it through the winter. So 2 are empty and we don't have a colony in them. But he said over the next few weeks, he will be looking for splits in other hives where he can get a queen bee and a hive and actually put them into our empty boxes. So right now we have 1 beehive. I asked him if there was any honey and there's not. He said, depending on the weather, we could have some in June, but it may be more like July before we'll have enough honey to harvest. And even the new boxes that he hopes to build up, we should be able to get a harvest from those yet this year. And I asked him about his feelings on why we didn't have any honey right now. And also, again, this has been pretty typical. We usually lose some hives over the winter. And he said the weather was so erratic. It was warm and then it was cold, warm and cold. That's just not good for the beehive. And it's been so rainy and so cold this spring, they haven't been able to get out the drone bees to mate with the queen bee to propagate the beehive. So he said that's part of the problem. It's just been so rainy and so cold, and again, up and down in weather. So that's kind of where we're at. And typically, if people, it's always good for me to reiterate this, they may not know, the way the hives work, these are managed through Unity Gardens. These are our own hives, but we use the Unity Garden beekeeper, Tim Ives, and basically he manages the hives. So like I said, he's going to build up the 2 that don't have hives in them right now, the 2 bee boxes. And then once we have enough honey to harvest, he will harvest the honey and gets that bottled and labeled for us. And then we buy it back from him. That's how we pay Unity Gardens for their services to manage the hives. We buy the honey back at a wholesale price, and typically we mark up each bottle $1, and we use that as a fundraising effort, and that $1 then per bottle goes to St. Augustine Soup Kitchen, so they can buy more vegetables for their soup and their other supplies they need. So that's kind of how the hives work. So the more honey we can harvest, the more we have to sell, and we sell that through the bistro. And also it gives us an opportunity for another component to kind of help out the soup kitchen. So that's how the hives work. Does anybody have any questions about the beehives and what's going on right now?
It's certainly disappointing to hear that we lost hives again over the winter, for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of been par for the course for us. And I don't think we're unusual. I think a lot of places are experiencing that with the erratic weather.
Any other thoughts or topics that we want to discuss? I think this is quite potentially so far the shortest meeting we've ever had.
When are we putting in the peppers and the tomatoes, and is that going to be a group thing or an individual? To put the tomatoes, peppers, and...
Jan and I will take care of that. That's not a whole lot of work.
Well, I thought this was a Unity garden.
Yeah, they need the help.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
You-
tough
you
part
can-
is we still have to social distance. The tough part is by the time Mike and Jan would bring everything down and then leave it out for us, I mean, they could do it pretty quickly. I think I left about 3 flats. Is that about right, Mike?
Correct.
Less than 3 flats. So I know that's the best part is when we get to plant. But I think Mike is right. In when they see a good day, they could come out here and probably knock that out in an afternoon, I would think. Is that right, Mike?
Either that or 2 days. I mean,
Okay.
we got plenty of time.
We're not
Right.
going anywhere.
Okay. And
And Ellen, Ellen, I agree. It's fun to come down and be in the garden together. And
Sure.
maybe we can think and brainstorm a creative way that when things open back up for our community, that we can, you know, have a little party down in the garden.
Well,
Of some.
you know, and we have to wait till June or July, and then I think things will lighten up a little.
Hope so.
This is just it's just a totally different year for everyone. That's okay. I'm game.
Marilyn, you've been a little quiet on the call. I'm putting you on the spot. Any thoughts or anything you want to add?
No, but I was just thinking that Barb looks really nice standing in front of the garden. So I think people seeing this might be really helpful, you know, being able to see the garden itself.
At least they
Good
can
idea.
see where it is.
Yeah,
If
good
the
idea.
feet span.
Marilyn, I'm gonna have Taylor follow me so they can see actually how you get to the garden. They can
Great
see
idea.
how close it is to Riverside and the gazebo.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I was going to suggest it.
There you go.
Over here, this is the gazebo that's behind Riverside Place, and Taylor's gonna move a little bit to show you Riverside Place. And I'm gonna show you, let's just show them the gate real quick,
Right.
Taylor.
Show them how the gate works.
Good. All right, so when somebody comes down, it says right here, please close the gate. So if you're coming in, just even for a quick look, come in, but shut the gate behind you. Last thing you want is for any squirrels or groundhogs or anything to get in here. And then you feel free to walk around as long as you want, take a look at things. And then when you leave, just go ahead and lock this back up. And this just flips over here. And you know it's tight. So we're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, anybody have any final thoughts before we end the meeting?
Yes, sister, can you get some holy water and go down and bless everything?
Certainly. And we
We
got
did
2 holy people taking care of the garden, so we'll be fine.
We did have a blessing of the garden, what, 10 years ago? So I don't know, maybe we need another blessing.
Yeah, that's true.
Sounds like the hives need blessing. Well, thank you all for your time this afternoon. We'll play it by ear on when we can meet again, but hopefully this will be a nice update for those that are watching later on Touchtown. And hopefully we'll be able to be together in the arts and crafts room like we used to, sooner rather than later, but we want to stay healthy. And that is a more important goal than being together at this point, is making sure folks stay healthy.
No, I think the stuff need to go in the dryer.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a good
Have a
evening.
good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
How do you turn this off?
Hit the off button.